Very good afternoon to you. It's a beautiful Monday. We want to welcome you on today's Market View episode. Today on the program, we want to look at the economic development and labor market dynamics in Eswatini. We want to delve into the pressing topics surrounding the nation's economy, the job creation, as well as labor market governance. We also want to welcome Nelsie, who will share her insights and perspectives on the key issues and potential solutions surrounding these issues. It is Market View. We will look at the business news as the program starts, and then further as we continue with the show, Saneless B, our economist, will help us look at today's indexes. But for now, let's look at business news. My name is Fiso Ngumalo. Welcome to the show again.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Welcome back to the program. It's only 4 minutes after 2. Let's get into our business news segments. On our first story, we want to look at the different constituencies around the country that will benefit from the Eswatini Livestock Value Chain Development, which is a project by the International Trade Center supported by the European Union. Now, the animal breeder at the Ministry of Agriculture, Bongani Makakula, says the project commenced last year and it will run until 2027.
In an effort to increase goat and beef production as well as markets, the International Trade Center, with the support of the European Union, is targeting farmers in different constituents under the Eswatini Livestock Value Chain Development Project. The animal breeder in the Ministry of Agriculture, Bongani Makakula, gives more details about the project.
Starting from animal breeding, for instance, which is component 1, where we intend to set up an artificial insemination center at Mbisi Kekli Breeding Station. There, we aim to harvest semen, which will be distributed to farmers nationally in order to increase their productivity. Component 2 will cover animal nutrition. In animal nutrition, we intend to demonstrate to farmers how best they can produce feed using readily available resources. Third component, we will cover range management. There, we intend to demonstrate to farmers how best they can utilize the rangelands. in a sustainable way. Component 5 will touch on feedlotting. We know that farmers can make a lot of money out of feedlotting or feedlot production. Another component will cover marketing. In marketing, we intend to teach farmers on how best they can.
Oftentimes, business people complain that banks and funds need collateral in order for them to access finance. Under this assistance from the European Union, it has been explained that there is no need for collateral for those farmers that will need financing.
We will ensure that farmers don't need this what we call surety when applying for a loan, because we have seen that that's a huge hindrance to farmers. So for us, we'll have a package or rather a fund to cushion that aspect. So farmers will apply for a loan, those who will qualify, but they won't be required to bring in or produce any surety for any loan applied. What we will do to ensure that farmers are able to service their loans properly, we will ensure that we mentor them. We don't just issue loans. We have technical experts, extension officers in the field who will take the farmers from production, take them through the whole process, even the agribusiness part, because we don't want farmers to fail.
The communities where the projects will be piloted are Zinyane under Mhlangatane constituency, Gangakulu under Lubulini, Luhlekweni under Somdongo Inkundla, and Mahlangacha community under Mahlangacha Inkundla. The animal breeder says the project will then run nationally after the pilot. For Market View, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
A proposed amendment to the Special Economic Zones Act of 2018 has already been presented to the Subcommittee of Ministers. This has been said by the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, when explaining what is being done to ensure especially economic zones in the country attract investors.
During a presentation of their diagnostic process of the special economic zones, the International Integrated Systems from Taiwan has said there is a need to form the relevant regulations and amend the Special Economic Zones Act of 2018. The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, says the process has already started.
We just presented recently to a subcommittee of ministers the proposed amendment to the SEZ Act. And the next step is then it will be presented to Cabinet for approval, basically a parliament. So to answer your question very simply, we are busy amending that act to make sure that the feedback we've received from potential investors is incorporated in the amended act.
On another note, the minister has put into perspective that trading under the African Continental Free Trade Area will be well managed. This is after a concern from the business community that some currencies are volatile.
Basically, the AFCFTA has partnered with a number of digital finance organizations, one of whom is actually AE Trade, the company that is in Eswatini already setting up. The digital finance companies are coming up with platforms where the exchange will happen seamlessly. So you can trade in your Lilangeni, but if the person you're trading with is in Zambia, they will see the transaction in Kwacha, even though you are trading with Ililangeni. So in other words, if you're buying something in Zambia, you don't need to go and get Zambian currency, the Kwacha, but you can trade with your own currency. So it will be an interface that will be basically seamless for you. So all our banking sector will then be tied into or locked into this particular system through our central bank. So that is how it's going to work. So in other words, it's a technological intervention that will allow for that country to operate in their own currency. So it doesn't matter that you're actually buying something from Nigeria or you're selling something to Nigeria. When you say it's going to be 2,000 emalangeni, the person in Nigeria will see this in their currency, pay you in their currency, and you receive your money in your own currency.
The minister has explained that government is taking all necessary measures to grow the country's economy, including aligning the laws to attract foreign direct investment and boost the performance of local businesses in international markets. For Market View, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
Right, that is how we wrap up our business news today. We get into our second segment, which is going to look into an in-depth interview of some of the economic developments happening around the country. We want to look at the hosting of the Maiden Businesses to Government, which was an engagement that happened last week, which after successfully hosting that particular engagement last week, Eswatini will further engage their members on more areas of collaboration with government in order to improve the business environment in the country. The Chief Executive, Inathi Dlamini of Business Eswatini, when giving a debrief after the business to government engagement held last week, which was meant to find lasting solutions to economic growth, tells us more. Right, let's talk to Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla. She is our in-house business journalist. But maybe before I talk to you, Nelly, let's look at an insert.
So these issues, in particular issues of managing talent, for instance, were raised. A number of issues which I think the Prime Minister was, open to in terms of listening to us, our complaints in that regard. And also, which is critically important, it came as a curveball to us, but one which we embrace as a challenge. The Prime Minister really set a very lofty and, if only ambitious, target of economic growth of 10%. And 10% of us is nothing to look at as something that's easy. And that comes against a backdrop of almost half. That's what the numbers are telling us, the projections. Half of that is attainable this year. And setting an objective for the next few years, 5 years or 10%, is a highly ambitious target, but one which we feel, if we can work in collaboration, the private sector in collaboration with government, one which is, I think, is attainable. And I can tell you this, if we were to attain a 10% GDP growth, I can tell you right now, it changes everything. It changes almost everything. One, from a point of view of employment creation, expansion of businesses, etc. But the question we need to ask ourselves, if we set this lofty objective, what is it that is necessary that we put in place? In particular, both sides of the aisle. Government is, what are they going to do to ensure that the private sector is able to deliver that? And I'm saying that against the backdrop that no government, not this government, no government anywhere in the world, can create employment. It's the private sector, the engine for economic growth. So the thing is, both sides, they have to do certain, they have obligations that they have to do in order to ensure that we achieve the target. So it is all systems, all hands on deck as we sit here. We will be meeting with the private sector in our various sector meetings with the private sector to say government has set this target and certainly we have a role to play. What is it that we need to do? And what are the hurdles that government need to address on our behalf? One of them, by the way, is the issue of foreign talent. Applying for foreign talent in this country sometimes is like pulling teeth. And if we cannot, and we did mention it during the conference, by the way, that some of the most crucial and important things that we can do in this country do not cost anything. They do not cost money. You don't need budget for. That's one thing. So we need to get that alignment there. And looking at the various issues which were raised now, which I cannot even raise, because there were so many. And to his credit, His Excellency the Prime Minister responded quite well. It was just only the beginning. But the truth of the matter is, without a productive, collaborative arrangement between the private sector and government, we might as well forget about everything.
The most essential thing, according to Mr. Inati, is the very, very necessary collaboration between the private sector and government. And of course, they've set lofty goals. Nelsie, as I invite you and welcome you to the program today, the lofty goal of 10% GDP, Mr. Inati, alluding to the fact that one of key things that will help them attain it is actually things that are actually free. They don't even cost anything. And that's surprising to me. And yes, we will wait for him to really, go back to the stakeholders, engage with them, and maybe they will give us an update on that. But from you, as he has correctly said, the private sector is the lifeblood of our economy. Government can only do so much, but they essentially need the private sector. I believe my question for you would then be, what do you believe the private sector contributes really to the economic growth and job creation in Eswatini?
Thank you so much, Sifisa Ngvuselele Mbukele ekhaya. I-private sector idlala indima lenkulu kakhulu emnothweni welive leSwatini. Nasibuka njena ukuthi tinkampani leti under business eSwatini ti contribute about 92% of the private sector GDP. So that's a huge chunk of the economy coming from the private sector. So I believe this is one of the things that has made the private sector to extend its hand to government to say sonke sikhulisa umnotfo, so asesibone indlela yokuthi lokhu singakwenda kanjani uma kunemithetho lengalungi kahle sibone ukuthi singabambisana kanjani. Remember, foreign direct investment nayita, they fall under the category of private sector. So this meeting was really important to forge a way forward. Government nayo private sector batawusebenzisana kanjani.
It's quite interesting because I'm also just thinking about it now. Our largest company in Eswatini is a private sector company. It's also the largest private sector company in Eswatini. You also look at, what we are known for economically and what sugar is known for, the Swazi gold. It's quite interesting what the private sector does. Ngiyafuna ukuthi singene endzabeni yokuthi kulobudlelwane bahulumende nayo i-private sector Nelson. Ngimaphi lama interventions let's see Mr. Dlamini kufuna ukuthi abe khona in particular in fostering a conducive environment for the private sector to thrive?
Sikhathi lesiningi the private sector lekhala ngako indzaba yekuthi the laws that are there do not foster economic, like foreign direct investment, and nekuthi emabhizinisi aqhubeke kahle. Asengibekise nje ngekuthi nangabe there's an investor coming to Eswatini under special economic zones. Siyathi ukuthi umthetho wema special economic zones wa 2018, but we are not seeing uptake legahle because the foreign direct investment is not coming, especially on that sector. So khanza ukuthi leti ngabekelwane letingabonakali kahle ukuthi kufanele bete kanjani. First of all, bekune consultants lebuya eTaiwan ithi asekulungiswe ama regulations ukuthi lama special economic zones vele atawusebenza kanjani. Lenye indzaba levelile ku RSTP kwekuthi labo soma business lababuya ngaphandle kwelive bayakhala ukuthi mhlambe lama requirements asuke asetulu kakhulu. Ngidawubekisa nje ukuthi nawubuya eSouth Africa, nawubuya not really South Africa, but you are a foreign direct investment business person lofisile kutakangwane kufanele ukuthi investe about both 30 million emalangeni. So loko ngilokunye labakhala ngako. Ganti at the same time government is saying if you are calling yourself a foreign direct investor, you have to invest more. You can't just invest uthi mhlawumbe na 200,000, 5,000 la eveni. We need something tangible that we can work with.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking about South Africa. Of course, what is happening in South Africa right now, really, really close to the elections. You listen to the manifestos that all these parties parties have. What they are trying to run away from is running away from FDI really, and looking at making them an export-led economy, and which Eswatini has really been, on that path, and making sure that we're on that path sustainably. My question then becomes, while we want to focus on FDI, what are some measures lakhona ekuthenini ake sicale lakha, charity begins at home? What are we doing for our local businesses to make sure that they grow first and foremost from SMEs and graduate into big companies, and the big companies graduate into big traders in the industry of trade?
We asked the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade that question last week. Lapho khona sibutile kwekuthi there seems to be a concern kwekuthi we focus more on foreign direct investment.
Right.
At the neglect of local SMEs. So the minister is saying we are not doing that blindly. We are going to ensure that local SMEs nabo bayakhona driver such that under iLiquor Act in economic lena lebukekwe ukuthi bosomabhizinisi la eveni bakhule bathuthuke citizens empowerment. Yeah, that one. So nayo ngenye lebukeke ukuthi akungathathwa lama SMEs ala eveni bese ayathathwa ayanigletwa wona sekuniketwa labo somabhizinisi bangaphandle. Asente isiqiniseko sekuthi ngale Citizens Economic Empowerment Act asiqinisekise kwekuthi there are those sectors that are reserved for local SMEs. So Minister wakuchaza kahle ukuthi we are not only focusing on foreign direct investment, but we will ensure through this act that has been enacted kwekuthi nemaswati awasaleli ngaphandle. We've seen iLiquor Act where indvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi ichazile ukuthi through the Liquor Act sithi kude lo tawusuka nje aye esicinzini umuntu mhlawumbe lo ngayitholi i-license kutawuba ngemaswati lawa tiwako emimangweni. So government is really trying to balance the scales lapho kwekuthi angasali lamabhizinisi lamancane.
Nelly, thank you so much for your time on the show. We want to go for an ad break, but here's a quick one from me before the ad break. From my engagement with Nelson, what we heard from Inati, what we urgently need is that collaboration between government and the private sector. It is very, very necessary, and Mr. Inati alluded to that. But also, we do really want to applaud what government has been able to do through the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade in making sure that the Citizens' Economic Empowerment Bill is now an act and indeed comes with a suite of incentives for local businesses. Hope Maswati will leverage all of that. As we get into our market analysis after the break.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
It's 25 minutes after 2. Welcome back to the program. We get into our market analysis with our economist, Sanele Sibiya. We want to look at the indexes today as of 15 April, what they are really indicating. We want to look at the stock market performance first, Mr. Sibiya. I'm not an expert just like you are, but I was looking at the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite indexes, and they were showing moderate gains. What is driving them? Is it the positive earnings report from some major companies, or the optimism surrounding economic recovery efforts? What is it really?
All right, thank you, Mr. Nguman. So when we are looking at markets, you can see that markets in the US, actually, they closed higher than they were trading the day before, but kuloko closer kwato bese tiqala titshengisa ama-signs ekudipha. So what you rightly said is the earnings reports coming through from quite a number of companies are actually driving that growth that we are seeing in the markets currently. So we are seeing Tata Steel coming well okay. We are seeing Elon Musk, Tesla's coming well okay in the market. So that's what's driving the market right now. But what is actually thrown in a friends land ukuthi market in the US tivale vele tikanjena tonke ngalesihlanu tivale titshengisa tinkomba tebuya phansi bekungiloko kungukuthi sibonile iTehran. Actually, they did fire a barrage of missiles and a barrage of drone attacks into Israel. So what that caused markets to freeze? How is the situation going to escalate? So we are hoping that as the markets open up in the US, they would have actually priced that in, and we are seeing at present the markets are somehow pricing in the fact that Israel is saying, I'm not going to react now, right? Saying, but we are going to react. So, across the UN and across the globe, it's becoming a very huge diplomatic
All right. I want us to get into the currency exchange rates. What I saw is that they are fluctuating, based on obviously various factors, but it also includes the economic data releases, central bank policies, and some of the geopolitical tensions that you've already alluded to, Mr. Sibiya. The United States dollar might have strengthened or weakened. I don't know. Did it strengthen? Did it weaken amidst all these developments that are happening?
So what that has done is it has caused markets to the dollar to gain a bit of strength in the fact that people are not trading in currencies much. They're not trading in stocks. People are just basically moving towards safe haven metals. They're moving towards your gold. So if you can see gold is still performing relatively high at those levels. It's still way above the 2,000 mark. So that's basically the reaction the market is giving right now, to ensure that people are just hedging against lama impacts of.
Yeah. And maybe while you are still at that, Mr. Sibiya, we may want to look at the prices of commodities, including oil, gold, and agricultural products that were influenced by all the things that you are talking about, the supply and demand dynamics, the geopolitical tensions, and really everything happening around it. Would you give us a clear view of how they have affected you've already alluded to gold. How has that affected oil as well as the other commodities?
If we look at oil, you can see that oil, because of Lama movements, getting Israel to restrain, oil has somehow kept its cool at around 89.55, so still around the $90 mark, the $90 region. So we are expecting markets to price that in and see how is that ceasefire, how is the restraint holding on,
right.
How is it holding. So we are hoping to see that as time goes on, we are hoping ukuthi oil but indicators are oil with what is happening in the Middle East. And gold is also set to gain some ground. So we can see gold also shoring up the South African market because now is beefed up by my precious metals.
It's quite interesting. I was hoping we'd get into the forex of the day, but time doesn't allow, Mr. Sibiya. But thank you for providing those insights. You've essentially, helped us look at the indexes and the current state of financial markets today, which have served as indicators really of investor sentiment and economic health. We hope the investors lapha ekhaya now. Information. This is the end of Market View today. Until tomorrow, have a good afternoon.